think I'm chosen to be the king of rock. Think the people have spoken. I can hear the tick-tock of the clock, I'm in motion. So now I'm gonna pop, causing all this commotion. Yeah.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Fat Boy Cartel podcast. My name is Eric, and this is my good buddy Brendan. And if you're finding us for the very first time, please click that like and subscribe button. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you get all the notifications about when we put up new content right here on this channel. And it's Thursday morning by the time you're listening to this, so you know what that means. And that means it's time for a review of WWE Dynamite. So if you're
wait, WWE
yes,
Dynamite?
Brandon, you didn't hear it apparently. At the end of this show tonight, they ran a video package of the highlights from the year at Daly's Place.
Oh my God.
Which I don't know if you saw the highlight.
I did.
It was actually a really good package. But at the end of this package, JR on commentary called the show WWE Dynamite. So poor guy is going to get roasted to the end of his time as a lead announcer on any show for screwing that up. And he even mentioned it on Twitter already, talking about how he's not quitting, but he did make a major faux pas, so he definitely come out and owned it. But, so yeah, we're going to be reviewing WWE Dynamite, or as we like to call it, AEW Dynamite tonight.
Yeah, I heard it.
Yeah, so I had to throw that in there. God bless you, JR. We love you.
Oh,
but we all make mistakes, man. We all make mistakes.
It happens.
It seems like
he
has
worked
made a
there
few.
He worked there for how long?
Oh God, easily 20 years.
And then he went to. He did some stuff over in New Japan. That was actually pretty cool. Man, he's been with AEW now for what?
It's been 2 or 3 years now, probably.
Yeah, 2 or 3 years now.
At least 2, yeah.
He slipped up. It is
happens.
what it is.
I mean, there's an E and a W in the name anyway. You just gotta,
It is what it is.
Old hat, he's, he had the cowboy hat or whatever he had on. It was just old hat for him. So,
it is what it is.
It's not a big deal, but people on Twitter and online are going to crucify him for it. That's just the way the internet wrestling community is. It's just the way it's going to be. But anyhow, we're going to review the rest of this show for Dynamite on June 30th, 2021. The show started off with Chris Jericho's music hitting and the crowd going absolutely bonkers as they sang Judas as he walked out to do commentary for tonight's show. And as always, Chris Jericho was absolutely, no pun intended, dynamite on commentary tonight.
He made me laugh a couple of times.
I hope when he retires, he does this full
Here's
time.
the thing. So I didn't see him come out. I was at the grocery store. So when I got home, the match was it wasn't halfway over. It was it just started. Mm-hmm. So I didn't see Jericho come out. So when I first heard his voice, I thought it was a voiceover. And I'm like, oh, okay, he's plugging the whole the match for later tonight,
right?
With Sammy, and I'm like, okay, cool. And then I heard him again, and I'm like,
where's this coming from?
Do they just have a recording of him? They're just throwing it in there? What the hell's happening? Yeah. And it took me a minute before I was like, wait, is this fucker at the commentary table?
Put 2 and 2 together. Yeah. Took a minute. But hey, you got there. That's all that really matters, man.
I got there.
He got there. But yeah, they were advertising him, I believe, earlier this week about being on commentary. So
always
a treat to hear Jericho on the commentary booth for sure.
Yes.
He brings that element to that table that's sometimes a little bit missing.
No, his whole point there was trying to break them, because there's a couple times, a couple lines he made, and I'm like, there's no way you're not laughing right now. You have to be. Because you know what he just said, and he asked you a question that you need to answer.
Right.
He did it to Excalibur a couple times. And I'm and Excalibur said nothing. Somebody else would talk, and I'm like, because he's laughing. He can't,
he can't talk. Yeah,
he can't talk right now.
It just seems like whenever he's on there, the team seems a little bit more relaxed, for sure. I mean, not that they're uptight or anything other times, but it just feels like it's a little more natural, for sure. So I was glad to see this. The show opened up with Eddie Kingston and Penta El Zero Miedo with Alex Abrahantes defeating the Young Bucks, Matt Jackson and Nick Jackson with Brandon Cutler at ringside. This was a great opening match, in my opinion.
It was
a lot of fun, but we definitely on this show. And I wonder how this is going to go, because this is not me being a homer, I swear. But
we about to find out.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. On this show, I have criticized WWE for doing this thing where they pin champions. And especially when they pin champions that are going to then get title opportunities because they beat the champions.
Mm-hmm.
At the risk of sounding like a homer, which I swear I'm not doing, I thought this was okay. Because I've also mentioned on the show multiple times that the reason because you can do this. They mentioned, I believe, that this is the first time in over a year that the Young Bucks has been pinned at all. So they're not doing it
because
every
a lot
week.
of their it comes from either interference or
that's
a
true.
screwy finish, a screwy finish,
which is a little too much.
So like, it's like, yeah, of course they haven't lost or been pinned because they're either their matches in a DQ or, like I said, a screw job finish, or there's never a real winner here. Yeah, they won, but how did they fucking win?
Well, yeah, agreed.
You know what I'm saying?
And even I'm one of those people who, I said this about Roman Reigns on SmackDown. You got to win on your own sometimes to make you look legit. I agree with this. And even in this match, Brandon Cutler got involved. The Good Brothers tried to run out. Luckily, they got cut off. But I'm just speaking purely from the standpoint of beating the champions. If I'm about to pull the JR. If AEW continues to do this, that's another thing. If they make this a trend, I'll get on their case like I do at WWE. But for now, you can beat the champions and do the DQs and distractions every now and then. So this is one of those situations where I believe they might have mentioned, I thought I've read on Twitter, now again, that's Twitter, it may not be 100% accurate, that they've only beat champions 4 or 5 times, but I couldn't even tell you those 4 or 5 times in their entire 2-year run. WWE does it 4 or 5 times a week. So that's the difference to me. But agreed, though, I have given WWE crap for pinning champions. So if you want to say that the AEW did it, you're not wrong. They did do it. And I believe I even mentioned last week I wouldn't be super thrilled by it, which I'm not. But at the same time, I'm willing to give this a little bit more of the benefit of the doubt. But how did you see this? Anything differently? Or
no, I mean, like we had the conversation earlier at work. I can't sit here and discredit Young Bucks' ability. I can't discredit their in-ring ability. Hell, even on commentary, they said it. You can't not acknowledge their athleticism. And that's not what I'm saying. Like I said at work, I just wish they did things different. Yeah, I get the whole aesthetic look, but
we got something else to talk about that part too. Yeah.
But there's nothing really changed. Yeah, they grew mustaches.
Yeah, that was what the world was going on with them and Kenny. And Tozawa had a mustache on the outside. I mean, so it's like they all said, "Hey, let's make it look as ridiculous as possible." And
it's like, but you've done nothing but turn what you've already done, what you already do, and just turned it up. That's it.
Yeah. They may have added some cold spray and some of those weird gimmicks, but other than that, you're not wrong.
And it's like, I just wish there was more. You know what I'm saying? But that aside, and it was, with young, but the match was still good. I can't, no matter what though, I can't get past Pentagon. Like, he hit a flipping power bomb from the side.
Yeah, I saw that.
Did you see that?
Yeah, he went around to the side.
And I was like...
It was almost like a roll-up, but kind of turned it into a bomb. Yeah.
And I was like, who does that?
Penta. And that makes him great. I mean, there is some innovative stuff that everybody does on this show, which I appreciate.
And Eddie Kingston, his facials. The way he reacts.
Looked like when they said he was going to eat one of the bucks.
Yeah.
He looked like he was legit hungry. He was going to devour them. It was,
Like I said before, I don't think Eddie knows shit's not real.
Maybe not. He ended up getting a pinfall here, I believe.
He did.
After
no. Penta got the pinfall.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, you're right.
But he's the one who avoided
hell
of a backhand.
Yeah.
It was that spinning back fist. I was like, oh, he fucking connected. Like,
yeah.
And I love that power driver, the package power driver that Penta does. The match I thought was great, despite what I said. Like, again, I can't discredit the match. I thought the match was great. They're not winning those titles.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I was just about to say that. I think
which sucks
which
because
is going to be next week. They announced it will be next week's show when they go back to touring around, at least for a month before they come back to Daily's Place for at least one show.
Which sucks because if you ask me, the crowd wanted it.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. Regardless of whether, we agree with exactly the way they did the finish or some of the aesthetics and things like that, this crowd was hot for this match.
It was.
And much like the main event, which we'll get to, I think you had some criticisms on that, but the way they book these matches, regardless of whether we agree with certain things, these crowds are eating it up. And it's the type of matches, and I think that's the one thing AEW does understand, that they know how to get a crowd excited. It may not be properly booked from like a wrestling psychology standpoint, but they keep crowds interested, at least for the most part.
Yeah, they do.
So you got to give them credit there, at least the way wrestling has evolved nowadays with today's society.
Right, again, and like I said, like for me, again, I'm not saying I hate the Bucks. Let's put that out there. But it had two of guys who I love. I've been a fan of Eddie Kingston for fucking years. Pentagon, ever since I saw him on Lucha Underground. Because I saw a handful of things that he could do, which wasn't everything that he could do, because he was a heel at that point in time, and he wrestled a distinct style as a heel. I didn't see like really all the big flashy jump shit until he started tagging with his brother.
Yeah,
and they were faces, and that's when I seen a side of Pentagon that I didn't know fucking existed.
Right. Which, imagine when Ray Phoenix gets back.
Exactly. And like that's why I wish, like, when the Bucks do this heel thing, that they don't do all this shit, because it's like you leave nothing to mystery, and it's like you box yourself in. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like that's what I wish, like they just they changed it up. Like you said when we talked about it before, they used to go where they about to do a super kick and not, and then like you should hold back on those moves, because they'll get the crowd to pop, but why is the crowd popping for you?
And to me, I don't understand exactly why they're making fun of the Macho Man so much.
I don't know what that was either.
Maybe because he did it. I don't know. But
there's supposed to be a parody of old school tag team,
right? Because they've mocked other wrestlers as well, not just Macho Man.
And it's like, but why?
I don't know. Maybe they're just the troll of all trolls is my guess.
But then you come out looking like those guys, with the big mustaches,
Fu Manchus, and
it's like, what are we doing? So you may be right. Maybe there's supposed to be a parody of all that stuff.
They did mention on commentary, it's almost like these guys are continuing to make all the wrong choices when it comes to their personality.
Yeah, and then didn't one of them dye his hair?
Well, I think Nick has always had the lighter hair color to begin with.
That's super light now.
That's the only way I can tell them apart, because they're changing their facial hairs. One guy was completely clean shaven 1 week, so it's like I can't tell these guys apart. But Matt has the darker hair.
So like with the Usos for the longest, you know how I knew who was who? Jimmy had always had a little gray in his beard. That's how I figured out who was who.
Did he dye it?
And then when they came back or whatever, and now they both got gray, and I'm like, I don't fucking know.
Yeah, I mean, I still can't tell them apart. I can't tell guys apart like from MSK. I don't know who's who on that one either, and they're not even basically twins. Yeah, so I mean, I got no problem with that, and I got no problem with their aesthetic personally. I noticed that they were using the cold spray a lot, which they've been using that a lot more to kind of. It's a little bit different than their babyface stuff, but
time out though.
Yeah,
when he sprayed right and he missed, well, when Penta ducked, why the fuck would you keep spraying?
Just to give it that effect, I guess, because he was like screaming when he was getting. I get it. Yeah, I mean, you'd be like, "Oh God, no!" Yeah, I get that, but that's a wrestling thing.
He held it there, and he's like. They're looking at each other. He's screaming as he's doing it. I go,
logically, you would stop spraying, but it's a wrestling thing, so I'm not going to kill it too much. But
it was
you're right. For comedic purposes, and it led to the finish. So
eventually, he let go.
Yeah.
After Kazarian. Kazarian, though.
Yeah, which I guess was under the ring, or where he came in from out of nowhere.
I don't know where he came from. But I know he showed up, and then Pentagon pulled. He fucking leaped.
Yeah,
and I was like, damn.
Yeah,
but he took everybody out, and which led to the finish and everything. But like I said, it sucks because They're not winning those titles.
I don't think so either, especially on only a week's notice. And I get it. It'll be a good match like it was this week, but it'll probably be chaos as well, like it was this week as well, and it probably not.
I hope not. I hope.
I'd like to see it clean.
Like, I don't.
Yeah.
Thank you.
At least and like we said with the Roman Reigns thing, the Bucks should win this one just clean, no help, no nothing, no questions.
When your titles are on the line,
especially if you just took a loss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There should be no question that you do this on your own. Mm-hmm. It was like with Kenny. I like the way they did with Kenny and Jungle Boy last week.
Right.
Was there interference?
It didn't affect the match, though.
It didn't affect the match because it got stopped beforehand.
And this one really didn't a whole lot.
No,
it was mostly stuff on the outside that was seemed distraction, but it didn't affect the in-ring competitors.
It didn't.
Outside of the
except for the spray,
right?
Yeah,
but other than that,
but it shouldn't be a thing, especially when there's high stakes on the line. There shouldn't be.
Yeah,
and that's why I felt about the main event. Why I said what I said, because this had those high stakes in this match,
right?
And it's like you don't need that,
right?
You don't. And it just, to me, not saying it ruined it for me, because that's not it. They did their thing.
Yeah. It was a good match outside all that, but
yeah. And their story was being told right there. Both men were beaten down. They one-upped each other the whole time, and it's like, really?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, really?
Well, and it's just interesting too, because assuming Kingston and Penta don't win the titles, which I think we're both in agreement they're not going to happen, especially with Moxley will probably come back with Kingston at some point, and Rey Fenix will probably come back with Penta and Pac as well. The tag division, I had the rankings pulled up earlier. I don't have them up on me right now, but the current tag team rankings as of today, the number one contenders based on record is the Varsity Blondes. And there was a couple other, most of the teams outside, I think FTR was third. I can't remember who number 2 was. But there was a lot of teams that you wouldn't necessarily in your mind think, okay, they're the number one contenders or in the top 5. But to their credit, though, that's a good thing that they're building new teams for sure. But from, just an audience perspective, you wouldn't consider them to be. So it begs the question, why was Eddie and Penta innocent to begin with? It's because the Bucks took out their teammates. So in that regard, it made some sense. But going forward, if the Bucks retain, are we going to see a program with the Varsity Blondes? Is that what we're doing? Or
and that's the thing too, because like at this point, this is what you should be pushing. I get what you're doing with Eddie and Penta. Okay, I understand that, but this should have been a side story to the people chasing after those tag titles,
right?
Because as of right now, they have defended those tag titles how many times?
They do it a lot. More,
but is it against a tag team that is
usually,
you know what I mean?
At least in the standings, that's usually the ones who are.
But there's no mention of the Varsity Blondes here, because you had Pillman
against
Jr. against Miro, and it's like, if he isn't a tag team, an established tag team at this point, and as you said, they're ranked.
Which is because, again, it's like because they're on Dark and Elevation, which most people, unfortunately, do not watch. But that does give them the wins-losses to justify the records.
But Pillman has made a name for himself on Dynamite.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You know what I'm saying? And I can't. I'm so terrible at his name. His partner.
Griff Garrison, I believe. His name. Yes.
By proxy, I can't say because he's not bad. He's not fucking terrible. He's also, you know what I'm saying? Like, people know who they are.
Right.
And
they have had good matches on Dynamite, but I don't know if they've always come out on the winning side of it. But
you should also that's something you should be doing on Dynamite with your tag team division right now.
Right.
Is not putting all these guys on Dark. Okay, that's fine. Well, it gets their wins and their reps in and shit. But you should also be pushing these guys as your next. You know what I mean?
Right. And maybe they will after this Bucks match, and maybe we'll get some of this stuff. But it is good to see that they're pushing some of those younger teams for sure.
Yes.
But we just need to highlight them a little more on the main shows, I think.
That's what I'm saying.
And hopefully they will do that.
More.
Yeah.
You still got Private Party who's tied up in this whole thing.
Yeah, they've kind of fallen off because
you still got this. You got
hybrid
and
two with them as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, what the fuck? we got to do something here. You know, hold a tournament.
Which they actually, I would love to see a tag team tournament. I think that'd be a really great, fun option for a few weeks for sure. Yeah, and do the finals on a pay-per-view, and or in the finals to get the Young Bucks or whoever that's out. Yeah, that'd be a great idea. So we
have
may
the
see
Bucks
that too.
out. Have the Bucks out for commentary during the finals.
Oh, that would be interesting for sure. But yeah, so let's move on a little bit here. We got some more stuff to cover. But yeah, it's good. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to see where they take that. I guess Kingston and Penta acknowledged Kazarian after the match for helping them get the win.
They did.
That's cool. Christian Cage and Jungle Boy were backstage. Christian is basically cutting Jungle Boy's promos for him right now. I understand that Jungle Boy has openly admitted he's not the best promo at the moment, and AEW is recognizing that. He did fine. He just didn't really talk much here. But they've definitely got Christian in his place doing what they can do. But I agree with Bully Ray on Busted Open. Jungle Boy just needs to get in front of the mic more and do it.
Yeah.
Don't avoid it.
I don't think he did bad in the couple of times he got to talk. Yeah. Okay, yeah, he didn't cut a 2-3 minute promo. He doesn't have to.
Right.
He doesn't really have to be that vocal.
Right.
Honestly. But they are giving him time, and they're giving him, speaking lines or whatever, which is cool. And yeah, okay, I get you have Christian there to do the majority of right now of the heavy lifting until he gets more confidence, and but like from the few couple of times that he's spoken,
he's been fine
on a microphone. Yeah. I thought
it's been better than Rhea Ripley on the main roster for some strange reason.
That's good. And the thing is, she knows how to cut a fucking promo.
She was great in NXT. I don't know what happened there, but she just can't seem to do it on Raw for sure. Yeah, so I mean, I think for now, but I just think he just needs to do it more for sure.
Yeah.
During this, I think Christian mentioned he's going to become the first AEW wrestler to get 50 wins if he wins tonight.
And they made that a big deal.
And it is a big deal, all things considered.
It is. Yeah, it is.
Luchasaurus and Marco Stunt appeared, and the former thanked Christian for having Jungle Boy's back, and Luchasaurus now has Christian's back in regards to the Hardy situation, which came into play a little bit later on. So we'll get into that in a bit. Then we had an interview with Ethan Page. The Man of the Year, Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page were in the ring with Shivani. Page was about to speak about why he chose a coffin match, but was drowned out by boos after telling the crowd to shut up. He eventually said what he's been doing is not enough. Page's goal is to exterminate Darby Allin. A little bit of WWE terminology there. I don't know how many people say they're going to exterminate somebody. I was waiting for him to say eradicate, but
you openly talk about murder like it's cool.
Yeah. Darby Allin keeps. Well, he is the heel, I suppose, but yeah, I get your point.
Nobody talks like that.
Yeah, I agreed. Darby Allin keeps coming back after all these bumps, so crippling him physically isn't an option anymore. The coffin match is going to cripple Allin mentally. Every time Darby Allin thinks about doing a coffin drop, he's going to think of Page. That's when Sting's music interrupted, and he came out with a coffin on wheels at that. A video then played of Darby Allin torching a coffin. That's when Allin popped out of the coffin. Sting rolled out and attacked the Men of the Year. Sting hit the Scorpion Death Drop on Sky, and Allin gouged at Page's eyes. What looks like Darby Allin had these long black fingernails on. Obviously, he planned this attack for sure. Page rolled to the floor and said Allin knew he couldn't beat Page at 100%. So Page wants it in writing that Allin won't touch him ahead of the match. So he then said it won't be next week. It would be the week after if he gets this in writing. So he's pushing the goalpost back a little bit to avoid Darby a little bit. But,
I mean, typical heel shit.
Yeah, typical heel stuff.
But this is what made me mad.
Okay.
You've built this matchup. You've advertised this as this match is going to take place. And now we're not doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I get your point. Like I said, that card subject to stage stuff is again.
This was a cheap out.
Yeah. I mean, I get it tells a little bit furthering the story a little bit, but it's kind of like, all right, you could deliver this match next week. Maybe they thought they've already got a stacked card from the sounds of things at the end of the show. They do, but how much of that did they reshuffle at the last minute? So yeah, I get your point. I mean, at least we're still going to get it, so it's not like they're totally pulling it off. Altogether.
But it's like one of those things that was like, I wanted to see this.
We just gotta wait another week now, or maybe who knows how long Paige is going to keep pushing it back. But yeah, at least for now, a little bit longer. But yeah, at least.
But it was a crap reason.
Yeah, I agree.
It was a crap reason. You know what I'm saying?
But as you said, it furthered the heel part of it, I guess. But
it does. But at the same time, it's like, could have done this a different way then.
Yeah, you could have. Absolutely, I agree with you there.
If you were going to do that was your end goal, then you should have, when you came out and you delivered this scathing promo of what you're going to do to him, you should have ended it with, but not next week.
Yeah.
So I've been thinking to myself, what way to better start this whole torture thing?
Mm-hmm.
This mind fuck that you. No, you can't say that. But you get what I'm saying
Right,
of
right.
Darby Allin.
Yeah.
Then we'll do it on my time.
Right, right. I mean, I didn't hate this as much as you did in that regard, I don't think.
But
But I see your
because it
point.
was like I said, it was
Yeah.
like cheap out. Like, oh, we're not doing it now. It's off. What the fuck?
If it was completely off, I'd agree with you a lot more. But moving it
Yeah.
back, I could give it that as long as they continue to deliver it. But yeah, I see your
Mm-hmm.
point though. Absolutely, it's well justified. After this, we had Jungle Boy, who got his 50th win as he defeated Jack Evans here. I thought it was funny that they went to a commercial at one point. JR said, "Get him, Jack." I'm like, which one are you talking about, JR?
What are we talking about? Wait, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, which one? They're both named Jack, technically. But Jungle Boy hit a series of running offense, including a running drop kick and a big lariat. He caught a spinning kick from Evans. They fought on the top rope. Evans slipped out, but Jungle Boy flipped out of a German suplex attempt and locked on the snare trap for the win. Okay.
Yeah, snapmare or not snapmare, snap trap.
Yeah. So
Trap snare.
Yeah. So the snare trap. What would you call that? It's kind of like a heel hook slash, almost like a. I don't want to call it a crossface. Almost like
sort of.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, it's hard to describe, but
it's like the STFU, but like
yeah,
not
basically
really.
That's a good yeah.
Like,
yeah,
but
so
yeah,
I think it works. I think it works for Jungle Boy though, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It gives him another little bit of at least like Jericho was talking about on how on commentary he had the Walls of Jericho. He integrated a submission move into his repertoire, and it actually worked out for him early on in his career. So it was furthering the storyline. Jericho was putting over all the heels and babyface. He was basically putting over everybody on commentary.
He was putting over everybody on commentary,
which is smart. That's what a seasoned veteran would do. But so yeah, this was a good win here.
Hell, he even put over MJF in the main event when MJ did a certain thing, and he goes, "I taught him that."
right. So at least he kind of still took the kind of stole the spotlight a little bit off of that, but still gave him credit at the same time. So that's not too bad. After the match, Hardy family offices ran out. But Christian and Jurassic Express made the save. Christian hit the reverse DDT on Matt Hardy in the ring. Looked like they were jostling for position here, and for whatever reason, it almost looked like they didn't know what they were going to do, and it was odd. Two guys who were veterans.
I was like, what's happening here?
Do something already. I don't know if it was Matt Hardy's jacket was getting in the way or what was going on.
It was. So, like, he was trying to grab a hold of him. Matt was trying to get out of the jacket, and the jacket was like, no.
It wasn't cooperating or something. But anyway, he choked out Hardy with his suit jacket, and Evans tried to get involved, but Christian fought him off. So definitely furthering that feud. We're definitely going to get that one-on-one match at some point here going down the line. It was announced that AEW is returning to Daly's Place for an August 4th television special called Homecoming. Excalibur said it would be the last time they're at Daly's Place for a long time. So they're going to go on the road for the next month, but then they'll be back for one show, and then they'll be back on the road again. So good to see that we're getting back on the road for sure.
Yep.
MJF addressed Chris Jericho in the back. He said he's outclassed Jericho week after week, both in the ring and on the mic. He told Jericho to call it quits and listed all of Jericho's transgressions against him. Jericho used to be so cool, and now he's a joke. Next week, he will announce the list of stipulations that will give Jericho one last match with MJF. In the meantime, MJF's going to take out his anger on Sammy Guevara tonight. People have wanted to see this match for a long time to find out the future of pro wrestling. After tonight, they'll say Guevara's the future because MJF is the now. I'm better than you, and you know it. So I thought that final line was pretty clever about him being now.
Yeah, but this means nothing because of what happened. Like, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I want to hear what you have to say about this main event for sure later. Maybe let's hold it off till we get to that. But yeah, absolutely. I want to see that for sure. But yeah, I mean, I thought the promo was good, but depends on how you look at the finale for sure.
Yeah.
Andrade El Idolo was interviewed by Alex Abrahantes. He talked about Matt Sydal interrupting him last week, which I believe I called, and proposed that they face each other in Miami next week. So we'll get the debut of Andrade next week. So that should be interesting. Which was interesting because I will say this: he's been teasing that he has this surprise, and even on Twitter today he wrote that he's so close to unveiling his surprise. We all assumed that was going to be denied. Maybe not, but a lot of people believe it's going to be Zelina Vega or Thea Trinidad will be debuting in AEW. But how's that work with Vicky? I don't know. Maybe they drop Vicky from the storyline. I don't know how they're going to address this, but we'll see what they do. Maybe it'll be next week for his debut match when we get that. We'll have to wait and see. Kenny Omega interview with Tony Schiavone. Kenny was brought out by Schiavone. Like the rest of the Elite, he had ridiculous facial hair. So again, this is an interesting little thing they're doing here.
They all look like cops from the 80s.
Yeah, pretty much. They had that old Fu Manchu and the handlebar. Yeah, it's definitely interesting.
It's looking real Miami.
Yeah. Omega talked about how he stays motivated every day. Today he woke up feeling like a king because he has defeated all the biggest stars in AEW. Now he sounds like Roman Reigns. And now the top young star in Jungle Boy last week. He said with nobody left, he's going to take time off. The Dark Order interrupted. Evil Uno said he thinks Omega has a challenger. Omega was dismissive of this, and Uno said he's right because nobody in the Dark Order has enough singles wins. But he has somebody in mind, the number one ranked singles competitor in all of AEW, implying Adam Hangman Page, which he is the number one ranked contender right now. Omega said that Page wouldn't appreciate Uno speaking on behalf of him, and he doesn't have the guts. He doesn't think he has the right to take this belt. Omega did his goodbye and goodnight ending with no Hangman Page showing up at this point.
No.
As we've said, this is where they're going. Clearly, it's going to be all out, I believe, in September. No doubt about it here.
I don't think Page will comment on this whole thing because he hasn't, and he's been asked numerous times. I don't think he'll comment on it until before that happened, which is great.
Well, we did see him a little bit later on tonight. I don't know if you caught that.
No, I must not.
It was just for a few minutes, but I'll explain when we get there.
Oh yeah, when he was in the back
with the Dark Order.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, why were you challenging him for me? It's not your call, that sort of thing. But yeah, this is definitely going to build to that. And once we get back to live crowds, it'll even work even more, I think, because Page is definitely over. Brian Pillman Jr. was backstage. He told Miro to forgive him for not believing the same things as him because he didn't have a lot of faith growing up. This is Pillman going out there to prove that Miro is nothing but a big bully and a big Bulgarian bitch. That's what he called him. So
yeah, I was like, yo, Pillman, calm down. You sounding like your dad now.
Yeah, taking that WWE line of the big Bulgarian brute and added the word bitch. So clever. Okay, cool. With that being said, though, TNT Championship, Miro defending his title against Brian Pillman Jr. This was a fun little title match, but another dominant victory for Miro, which is what it was meant to be. Miro looked good here. Great shape. That dude's like he's just got real fit, tone and all that stuff over the last few years here. But he had a lot of time to work out when he was waiting, after WWE let him go, I guess. So I thought this was a good match. Just highlight him a little bit here.
Yeah, Pillman did great. Pillman killed it. They had a good match.
Yeah, and it ended with game over. We got locked on, wrenching it back and leading to the referee stoppage, as a lot of Miro matches have ended lately. But it'll be interesting to see who they decide to go and challenge the TNT Championship. Obviously,
you know who it should have been? Should have been fucking Lance Hoyt.
Well, I have to look at the rankings because the men's singles division is the same with the world title. So I don't know exactly how they worked that, but yeah.
This should have been a thing where they were neck and neck through this whole thing. Miro racking up the wins with the belt, and you had Lance on the outside that nobody saw coming, racking up the wins behind him. You know what I mean? To be in that number one spot, to where you have this final confrontation with Monster versus fucking Monster. But instead, you did it already, and it's like, he beat him.
I'll give you that. I'd have to look at the other rankings to see what's going on at the moment. But yeah, Lance Archer, they've definitely kind of dropped the ball
Lance
on
Archer
him.
Said Lance Hoyt.
That was his name. Well, that was his name. So, but yeah, I mean, I think it would eventually benefit Archer to separate himself from Jake the Snake Roberts. As much as I love Jake,
which sucks because Jake is a good asset.
He is. I just think his services would be better used on someone who needs him more.
Yeah, Lance Archer, you're right. There's no reason for him to be with Archer.
Yeah, he's got good mic skills. He can carry himself. Yes, he needs to get back in that win column. But other than that, Lance Archer's okay. I think that, much like Darby Allin, who could ditch Sting at this point, I think, that their services can be better used for some younger talent. And hopefully that's what they'll do with those two guys at some point. Adam Hangman Page was upset with the Dark Order backstage. He asked if they thought he was scared of Omega, but Colt Cabana said they think he's scared of failure, which kind of plays into that whole lone wolf storyline he's been doing for months now. So I like that. John Silver said, win or lose, we always have your back. They all hyped him up, and Alex Reynolds said, this is your time. Kind of indicating that, okay, we're about to pull the trigger on Adam Hangman Page within the next few months. So hopefully that's what they'll do, and it's the right booking call for the long run. Taz was backstage with Powerhouse Will Hobbs and Hook. He said Brian Cage and Ricky Starks weren't here, and it's been rough on them as a team. On July 14th, it's going to get figured out as Cage will defend the FTW Championship against a medically cleared Ricky Starks coming off a neck injury. So that'll be interesting to see that he's coming back that quickly. But it sounds like we're going to get the resurrection.
I don't think he should.
Yeah, I don't know. Yet. It just depends on how bad it was. I think I heard at the time that it was 6 weeks, but I don't know the severity of the injury. I guess you got to trust the doctors on this one. But it's interesting that he's coming back that quickly. So we'll see him in a few weeks' time, and we'll see that match. Dr. Britt Baker and Rebel were in a tag team match against Nyla Rose and Vicky Guerrero. This was not a very good match, in my opinion. They, especially toward the ending, obviously Britt Baker and Rebel got the win, but Nyla Rose hit the springboard knee with Britt Baker draped over the top rope, one of her moves, and then Rebel came in to make the save on the 2 count, but it looked like she might have pulled a Triple H where something in her leg snapped and she could not move. She was in obvious pain and she drug herself to the outside of the ring here. And from the other angles that they were shooting the rest of this match on, you could clearly see the doctors were over there attending to her. So hopefully she's okay, but it sounds like she might have tore something in her leg maybe because she couldn't get up at all. But after this match, obviously, and Britt Baker applied the what's the lockjaw on Vicky Guerrero and for the win, and Vicky tapped out, almost immediately as she should.
Yeah, she's not a wrestler.
So yeah. So again, the champion looks strong. The number 1 contender, while losing, did not take the loss herself. And then, of course, after the match, the number 1 contender, Nyla Rose, destroyed Britt Baker by throwing her off the apron through a table, which looked like it sucked. But, other than that, I thought the match itself was a little clunky, which, of course, you got Rebel and Vicky in there, both of which are not considered, the top-tier talent of the women's division. But, I mean, I don't know. I nothing against Nyla Rose. I'm just not a big fan of her and ring work personally. That's just me. I think Britt's good, but
it's hard to get behind someone she's supposed to be the face, but
that's the thing. Britt Baker's a heel, but she's at this point now where she is over with the crowd. She's getting cheered. So at some point, I feel like you're going to have to pretty much just say, all right, she's a babyface. We're going to have to flip that switch. But I don't know.
Well, I think they can still get, because there's so many other big, babyface women that they have that they could have used. Who would have gotten a better response than Britt
Nyla's a heel, so it's kind of like 2 heels almost going at it at this point.
It's like okay,
so, and part of the charm of Britt Baker is her heelish tactics. That's why people like her.
And the thing at the end of the day, Nyla's not going to win this. No, again, you're just killing another monster.
Yeah, which again, I'm not a big fan of Nyla, so I'm not to it. But I understand your point. It doesn't bother me too. And I think Ty Conti is the next challenger on the rankings, so that'll be a good baby face for Britt Baker to go up against after this is over, which sounds like this is going to be short and sweet in a couple weeks, and this feud with Nyla will be over. It's just a way, I think, to get Britt to defend her belt. But I see your point. It's another kind of like Lance Archer situation where Nyla keeps getting beat and not getting a hold. But again, with the roster as big as it is, not everybody can get over. That's just the way it is in wrestling, unfortunately. But
again, when this whole women's division started, you had Nyla Rose at the forefront.
Yeah.
And you did nothing with it.
Yeah. She was even champion. But it just didn't last very long.
Wasn't long.
No, it wasn't. And again, I don't know if it has. I mean, I don't want to speculate about if. I mean, obviously they champion the fact that they're LGBT, proud and things like that in this company. But I don't know if that has anything to do with the decision making. I wouldn't think it would.
I don't think it does.
A part of me just feels like she's just not top tier level women's.
She's not. But you pushed that.
Yeah, you did. That was the company who did that. So. Yeah, and then maybe they've kind of just decided to back off on it, but now she's number 1 contender again. It's almost like, okay, let's feed her to the wolves. And so that's what's going to happen here, unfortunately. But I guess that's just the way it's going to be. But, yeah, I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest. So, Rose attacked Baker after the match, hit a beast bomb. We went through that already. Yeah, next week's lineup for Road Rager, AEW World Tag Team Championships, Young Bucks versus Eddie Kingston and Penta. South Beach strap match, Cody Rhodes versus QT Marshall. Andrade El Idolo versus Matt Sydal. Inner Circle, 6-man tag, Jake Hager, Santana and Ortiz versus The Pinnacle, Wardlow, Dax Hardwood, and Cash Wheeler. Orange Cassidy and Chris Statlander following up their feud with the Bunny and Blade in a tag match next week, mixed tag. And Chris Jericho and MJF will face off in a standoff, determining the stipulations to get Jericho to go one-on-one with MJF again, which, again, I'm assuming will be all out at some point. So, yeah, definitely a stacked card, so that's probably why they pushed the other match off for a little bit.
I just wish you came up with a better reason. That's all.
Yeah, I hear you. Jake Hager and the Pinnacle, Jake Hager and Santana Ortiz were cutting a promo on the Pinnacle. It was nothing to write home about, in my opinion. Just kind of a backstage segment, setting up the 6-man. Yeah.
But they did say that they were gonna have Conan in their corner because they have.
Because they have Tully. So, okay. So that'll probably be a thing. I'm sure maybe Conan will get his revenge on Tully, and it'll be a short, sweet little deal that they did. So we'll see. Then we had the main event, MJF versus Sammy Guevara. I'm not going to lie. I thought this match was great. Had some good moves in it. Well,
it was great.
Yeah. I ain't going to lie. The finish was, trying to remember exactly how it went here.
It went like this.
Okay, go ahead. I want to hear your thoughts on it anyway.
There was 2 times this match should have been over.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
The flipping Canadian Destroyer should have wrapped it up.
And the the Tombstone pile driver.
Tombstone pile driver off the top rope.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah, that and that's just. Part of me wants to say, well, that's just wrestling nowadays. We do all the kickouts and the big things. But again, I agree with you that certain things should not be kicked out of. I mean, that should be the end of the match. I'm not going to lie. But again, it got the crowd going, much like the opener, where they were on their feet. But it was definitely, it's like WrestleMania, where everybody kicked out of everybody's finishers. That's what it was.
But you have this moment of, but this is Dynamite. It shouldn't happen.
And it was a entertaining match, but I agree with this.
It was. But now, okay, fine. They kicked out, whatever. Fine. Okay, I'm here. I'm with you. MJF is favoring that knee. It's like he can't get up. Sammy Guevara is so screwed up off of that move, he can't stand up.
Which, when you texted me and said I hated the finish, I thought you meant, because I was watching that going, okay, they're going to do a no contest, aren't they? Like the leg, he couldn't stand up, and then Guevara was not on his feet.
That's what I thought.
I thought they were going to stop, and I was like, oh, God.
At that point, I was like, this is going to make me real mad.
Yeah, that would have been worse.
And then Sammy rolled him up, and I'm like, okay, cool.
They're still going to go, yeah.
Then the leg on the rope thing. Fuck. All right.
That was a good spot because it was already bent back, yeah.
The moment I seen Sean, and I'm like,
yeah.
You have.
Well, and that's one of my criticisms of AEW. They sometimes do this too much stuff on the outside.
And I'm like,
yeah.
All right. Well, maybe he won't get involved. Mm-hmm. And then I heard Chris Jericho go,
I want to stop this now. Yeah.
And I'm like, cool. Jericho come down. He'll disperse. The match can continue until we get a winner here.
Right.
No. Wardlow destroys Jericho.
Yeah.
Tosses him over.
Begs the question, where were the rest of the Inner Circle? Where was the rest of the Pinnacle? Which I'm glad we didn't see it. Let's be honest, there had too much going on here to begin with.
Yeah.
But
so then you got Wardlow standing up there, screaming for the ref.
Yeah, to get his attention.
First of all,
yeah.
Why does he care?
Mm-hmm. There's a match going on over here.
Yeah. He should give a shit less what you're doing up there. That has nothing to do with him. He's got a job to do.
Yeah. It was also, they could distract and get Sean Spears, yeah.
He tosses Jericho down. Now the ref's over checking on Jericho. He ain't part of this damn match. Mm-hmm. Call for somebody else.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Sammy's in the ring, turns around, chair shot.
Lays out Guevara.
MJF crawls over. 1, 2, 3. And in my head, I'm thinking Sammy should kick out at 2.
Mm-hmm. That would be cool.
Give him that close 3, kick out at 2. How this match should have ended, you could have still had an MJF win, but he took a fucking beating to the point where he hurt himself trying to take out Sammy. This was one of those I'm better than you matches, and it should have played out to either A, fulfill what MJF said. Prove that I'm better than you. That, yes, you are the future. I'll give you that. But I'm the now. None of that.
I agree.
All you did. And I loved everything.
Outside of the stuff that should have been finishes that weren't. I'll give you that.
I'm willing to accept that because it's like
that's what wrestling is now.
Fine,
that's just what
let's go.
Yeah,
you know, if you're gonna take me out, you're gonna have to fucking kill me. Cool, I'm with that. But he went through all that fucking chair shot,
and they did a good job selling the knees, selling the neck after all
that.
Yeah, they did a great job with all that. You know, it was logical. It made sense. But this goes back to our discussion of like Roman Reigns. For the longest time, he had Jey Uso winning all of his matches for him or helping him out. The Young Bucks earlier tonight had to have help. You know, the heel, and it is a heel tactic. That is true. Especially
but it's a heel tactic that's overly fucking done.
Agreed.
Brock Lesnar didn't need that.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I guess Paul would maybe interject himself with something, but for the most part, it's Brock Heyman, or Brock Heyman.
He'd yell.
Brock Lesnar. But yeah.
He'd yell from the side. He never got physical with anybody.
Might have got up on the apron a few times to distract the ref or something. But yeah, it's not like, you know, this guy's, you know, from this faction shows up, you know, everybody, all chaos going on inside the ring. No. AEW needs to pull that back a little bit. I'm not going to lie. But I understand it as a heel tactic.
I was with everything that transpired. Yes. Okay, fine. The Canadian destroyer. Or what did he call it?
The Cuban destroyer. Because he can't speak Spanish or something like that.
But he can't speak Spanish.
Yeah, I believe that's what it was. Yeah.
I was even a fan of the Spanish Godfly.
Yeah, the Spanish Godfly was, which begs the question: why did MJF roll over to that side of the ropes just to take? Again, that's wrestling, but yeah, I mean, all that stuff was great. This was well wrestled.
All of it. I loved it. Sammy jumped from the inside of the ring all the way to the fucking outskirts.
Right.
Loved it. You know, I was behind everything.
Yeah.
When Sean came out there, I audibly went, "Come the fuck on."
Yeah. It's like,
because at that point, I'm like, why? This was fucking phenomenal.
I guess it's to get MJF. You know, he's the douche. He always cheats to win, which I understand. Again, I get the heel tactic side of it. But
he could have cheated to win,
right?
And a different use the ropes for elevation.
Yeah, use the ring, or something. Yeah,
get that dastardly roll up win. I don't care.
Yeah, I hear you.
I was just like, why would you?
Well, especially when you're telling everybody week in, week out, I'm better than you, and you know it, and
you
have to resort to it's like Roman Reigns, who always said, "I'm the head of the table," but but when you're cheating and not winning straight up. We as an audience can't buy it, so I'm going to criticize that just like I did Roman Reigns. The Young Bucks, and some of these guys, Kenny Omega, which Omega a lot of times can win on his own, but some of these other acts like MJF don't do that, and eventually you have to.
Even when he defended his title against Jungle Boy last week, right? They came out, but there was really no interference.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That was all broken up. I'll even give you the whole, Kazarian coming out and breaking that whole thing up.
Right.
You know? It still had no real bearing on the winner here.
Right.
They still hit their finishes to get the win. This wasn't a quick roll up off a distraction pin. You know what I mean? This was just, it was like, why?
Yeah, I don't know.
Why?
I get you. I mean, and as much criticism as MJF has taken about, he never wrestles, all he is a good promo.
And he goes.
But here's the thing. If you watch this match, when he does wrestle, he delivers. Now, granted, some of that could have been attributed to Sammy Guevara and how talented he is, but both these guys were absolutely outstanding, especially early on in this match.
They were.
So,
and it took mad balls, not only to take that move, but for MJF to feel comfortable enough and safe enough to deliver that move. Because at that point, he could have easily not only, seriously injured Guevara,
right,
but it could have killed him.
Yeah,
You're jumping from the top rope with his head between your knees.
I don't believe I ever saw Undertaker do that. I don't think. Maybe once, but I don't recall it.
If you're off, imagine what happened to Stone Cold.
Oh God,
that would have killed him.
Yeah, if not killed him, at least paralyzed him for sure.
Exactly.
I mean, I totally get it. That wasn't safe, but outside of all that,
and the fact that you could have blew your own knee out doing it.
Oh yeah, which he did sell, thank God. So at least
he should have.
Yeah,
as soon as he hit, he grabbed his knee. The moment he hit that mat, he was like,
and I was proud of him for that.
You're telling the story of you're willing to put your body on the line. You've done everything you can, and he still kicks out.
Yeah.
You know, you're willing to take it to that level to beat him, to prove that you are better, and then this is how we fucking end it.
I do think still overall this was a pretty good show.
It was.
But I do think all companies, not just WWE, not AEW, everybody, all of them could stand to pull back a little bit on the outside interference stuff. The distractions, the craziness that goes on the outside of AEW, all that stuff. Just let people compete in the. I get do it heel tactic stuff, but there are other ways of doing it besides calling in everybody from somebody's faction to distract the official, throw somebody around. You could do it, but again, like we talked about earlier on, when you beat champions, do it in moderation. Do it very sparingly. Much like AEW's been pretty good about that when it comes to beating champions or disqualifications or countouts. So there should be no reason AEW can't pull this back. Now, granted, you don't want to completely handcuff them to do nothing, but we want to see competitive matches, clear-cut winners without interferences for the most part. Yeah. You can do it occasionally.
Because at this point, you can't expect me to believe that match between MJF and Jericho is going to end in a clean finish.
I would hope so. But yeah, I understand why. I mean, if you do it too much, you're going to set an expectation that your audience is going to go, oh, okay, that's how it's going to end. And AEW definitely at the end of shows a lot lately, even if the match is clean, afterwards all hell has to break loose before they go off the show. Which I get it. It leads to excitement. Wants you to tune in next week. But sometimes you don't need that. You don't. Yeah. So
like I said, this match would have been so much more, and would have done more if he would have beat him on his own merit.
Yeah. I'm giving it a little slack just because it is MJF and he's got to do this for now. But again, he's got to get a win on his own. Otherwise, no one's going to take him seriously. And maybe that's the point. But
this is different than that, man. This is, you went through hell and back trying to beat someone. Yeah. And you threw everything you fucking could at him to beat him. Because to you, it's deeper than me just beating you. He essentially said that.
Right.
This is deeper than me beating you. This is just me proving that I am better than you.
Well, not only that,
you didn't do.
If one of these two guys lose clean, it's not going to hurt either one of them, because they're both kind of on that same level. It's not like a Lance Archer situation where he's been buried and buried and buried. Both these guys are pretty hot right now, so there's no reason why you couldn't have had somebody to take the loss clean.
Sorry, it just fucking sucks.
I get. Like you're trying to protect Sammy a little bit here, but
I would have been completely 100% fine with him again. Hey, using the ropes for leverage, or grabbing a handful of the tights. You got it. You've done everything else. You've done everything else. Cheat a little bit.
Yeah.
Grab his tights. Hold that ring.
Yeah, do the roll up thing. Like WWE does all the time, but it doesn't happen much on AEW, so it's okay to do occasionally. But the ring, like you said, something like that. I get it. I totally get it. It
was just like I said, everything else. I loved this match. I did. I was all in. It was a
great main event up to that point, for sure.
And it was just like, what? Why we ended like this though?
Anytime.
Again, why does the ref give a shit what's happening to Jericho?
Yeah.
Well, it's not my problem.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that wrestling in general has a problem as a whole right now, unfortunately. And
100%.
And it takes the crowd out of it, and we want to see, and for the most part, AEW does deliver that. So I'm trying to cut them a little bit of a break, but at the same time, when you deliver a big main event like this and it's going as like it was, we really don't want to see a match in that sort of way.
I didn't. I did not want it to end that way.
And I guess like I said, their idea is probably it gets MJF over as more of a heel, but
he's already.
Yeah, there's over.
But it's already. MJF is hit early on. He hit this stride with where he is right now.
Yeah,
and his only way up to go up, for him to go up is up. If he would have beat Sammy, he would have got more heat from that. The fact that he held his tights, or the fact that you can't tell me now you get to go on next week and gloat about your win over Sammy when you fucking.
Yeah, and Sammy will be like, "Well, I got hit with a chair. You didn't beat me. I got waylaid." Yeah, it's the same sort of thing. I guess either way, it would have been that story. I would much prefer, like you said, maybe a pull in the tights type of situation.
You could have disputed the tights. You could have been like, "No, I had it hooked in deep."
I mean, I get the line of thinking they were going for, but maybe they're starting to do it a little much for my taste, so hopefully they'll pull that back a little bit. Well, anyway, I think that will pretty much do it for AEW or WWE Dynamite for this week, as we got, like I said, a promo package to end the night with showing all their highlights from the last year, which is interesting because the highlights from the last year, it's hard to believe how long they've actually been doing this. They had a lot of great highlights, actually, from the last year, so it was cool to see. It was a good video package. Poor JR, though. But anyway, that'll do it for tonight's AEW review. But the real question here is, guys, what do you guys think about this show and AEW in general? Comment down below, let us know, and don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you get all the notifications about when we put up new content right here on this channel. And until our next video, guys, take care.
Yeah, ready to go, man, lock and load. That's right, I swear to God that I can jump and roll. Yeah, I got shot and I ain't stopping, no. That's how I know that